So, hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mick, and something a bit different today. Normally I go for a walk. It's the 12th of February today, and I don't know if you're going to remember it when this goes up, but it's absolutely grim and dismal. So I'm not going anywhere today. I usually go and pop out, and I'm doing my main filming on a Monday, which is one of my days off, and Wednesday, which is the other one. I usually just go for a fly around with the drone or something like that, but not today. I've been outside. It's absolutely Baltic. So I'm not going to bother. So I thought what I'd do is I'd show you my camera setup. I've sort of mentioned it in lives and things like that, but let's go through a detailed sort of look at this camera that I use. And also, while we're at it, why not go through the other types of things I've used to make audio go into video and then post on the internet. Obviously, it's not my first ball game. I've had a e-cigarette channel for about 4 years, which disappeared more or less just before Christmas. And I've got another review channel that I do, where I did a little bit of walking about on that in the early days. I maybe ought to put one or two links to those videos in there in Spain. But that was the old way I used to do it, using a phone in a gimbal. So let's go through the old stuff and the new stuff and hopefully make a bit of an interesting video for you. First of all, you wonder why this elastic band's there. The old way, the Hohem gimbal. Not a cheap thing. I think I actually got my wife to buy me this for Christmas. That's just a stand, so we'll take that off because it's easy. I'll do this, obviously. Undo that. Click that out. Put your phone in there. Stretch that out. At the time when I was really using this, I think it was a 13 Pro Max. No, 13 Pro, I think, which is a much smaller phone than that. But the idea is with that, you've got to get that to level up before you start off. By sliding that up and down in there, let me just see if I can get to level up. So the idea of that, obviously, you just use your normal phone camera in video mode, 16:9, or if you were going to do it for YouTube Shorts, if I can remember how you do it, YouTube Shorts or TikTok, you would then turn it into that mode, and off you would go. Obviously, the problem is that the relationship between you and your audio, you're talking into the speaker, and if anything else is in the way, turn it off. It's a lot easier. It's not the easiest way to show you that, to be honest, but anything else is in the way, like cars coming past or anything like that, all your audience can hear is that instead of you. So then you go on to a different idea of what we're going to do to get audio. So I went on to buy this, the Rode Go kit. Since then, there's the Rode Go 2 kit, which is superior in many ways. But the idea of that is, then plug the transmitter into the lightning port on your phone. Then you plug that into there. I think that lead was about 15 quid, to be honest. So that goes into the phone. That's your transmitter. You turn that on, and that connects up wirelessly to this microphone. And the problem with that was the dead cat, or the wind muffler for the microphone, was just two little things that clicked into there, which were quickly dislodged. So then you got wind interference or any other interference that was coming past that. So that wasn't quite so good. These were really expensive as well. They are very good used in the right situation. I tend to use them. You can buy the Rode Interview Go, where these just click in. You put a wind muffler over the top and use it as a handheld microphone if you're doing sort of interview things. So it's a good product, don't get me wrong. But the next one is much better. And with the next one, you can get two microphones that connect up to the same transmitter. So if you were doing an interview situation or doing it with two people, it was a lot easier than messing about like that. And then the problem with that is then you've got that plugged onto that gimbal. You've then got to get all this to fasten onto the gimbal and then into the phone without interfering with the way the gimbal works. Otherwise, it's it makes it very complicated, shall we say. So then we moved on. And this is the device that I use now. I actually bought the Creators Combo. Now, this isn't a cheap device. I mean, I bought mine in November. It was just over £600. But if you start going into DSLR cameras, you know, you actually study your starting price, then upgrading your lens and whatever. And it's a fairly bulky item just to walk about with as well. You're obviously drawing attraction to yourself. Similar way to what when you were using the iPhone in a gimbal, you're walking around and it's a fairly big device. People can see it. Obviously, if you're vlogging in cities and towns nowadays, is it the sort of thing you want to do? Walk around with a 14 Pro Max in full view, you know, sort of making yourself, while you're doing your vlogging, not taking a notice, just sort of taking notice of what you're doing. You could soon be a victim of crime, you know. And I suppose like Charlie Veach and people like that, they're just using the phone close to the face, so they're walking around with it in the hands right up to them. If you've got that dangling about on a gimbal to try and get rid of the steps that you're making, you know, the shake of the camera, I would think it would be quite difficult to keep your eye on what everybody else is doing as well as you. So let's go through the Creators Combo. This is the Pocket 3. This is like the standard thing that you would get. This is just the camera, obviously built-in battery, Type-C charging at the back. Now, told you a fib, Type-C charging underneath. It's the extended battery that has Type-C charging at the back. So if you get the Creators Kit, you get this bag. You also get a shell, hard shell that the camera clicks into, which I haven't got up here at the minute, but it's just like a case. You get a tripod that comes with it. Just a pretty sort of, I mean, it's a good quality, but you know, you can get them from many a place, like the one that just came off the bottom of that home gimbal. That's the same thread, so it'll fit on. Pretty standard thing. Obviously, there's no threads on the bottom of this device. So this comes in with the Creators Combo. If I can get him out of the bag. Now, the only thing this does, it's not actually a battery itself. It makes it easy to charge the device because you haven't got to charge it from the bottom. But its real reason is to screw the tripod onto the bottom of there, and then you can use the Type-C port in the back to charge your device. Now, in with the Creators Combo, you also get an extended battery. That just plugs in the same way. And I think this extends that battery by another 2/3. I've never actually got it all to go flat, and I've been sort of recording for 2 hours non-stop. What I tend to do with my walking videos is you click start or record, and you just walk and walk and walk and walk, and it's not that you're doing really difficult shots, so it's very, very rare that you actually stop and start again. So just, you know, for 2 hours solidly, I just record. Obviously, at the bottom there, you screw in that gimbal so it can all stand up, and you just plug a Type-C thing in there and charge it all up. It also comes with a zoom lens. Obviously, it comes with a Type-C to Type-C charging cable. It comes up with a little zoom lens as well, which I've never actually tried, to be really honest. I maybe ought to take it out there. And obviously, this bag, carrying bag as well, I tend to use that as more as storage at home, because I usually walk around with this device in the spare thing in the drone bag. So you're only carrying one thing at once. You can buy a lot of these lenses, the full sets of them on Amazon. I presume you can get them from the DJI website as well. The idea is that they're magnetic. So they just go on there like that. I would actually give it a whirl. And according to this, it's 0.75 times 15 millimeter. So it's obviously that doesn't fold back round there with that on, so you have to take that off before you switch it back off because it folds up on its own. Next time I go out, I'm going to give it a go and we'll just look back at the footage and see what difference it makes. Until then, it can go back in its purpose bag. Comes with a wrist lanyard as well, which fits on. If you were just using the normal camera, I think there's a little hole somewhere. There's a wrist gimbal that fits in there. I've got massive hands, and with this extended battery on it, I find it really easy to carry around. But if you were just using that camera, my hand actually dwarfs it. So I'd find that really easy to drop, I think. Now, also what it comes with is the DJI Mic 2, not Mark II, Mic 2. If you buy these on their own, they're 80-something £. And the idea is that with this is you switch it on and the relationship goes straight into the camera. So you're recording audio as you walk. This also comes with this, the dead cat. I tend to give it a bit of it's just a bit of an habit I've got before I put it on. It looks like that. And that clicks all the way in there. There's no way it's ever going to fall off as you're walking because it goes up to there and gives that proper click all the way down. Also with this, with the Rode, this clip on this particular model is plastic, so the only way it will fit on anywhere is if you click it on there. A lot of people, if they're using a hat, click it on the top of the brim. Because the problem I found with this, if you actually click it onto a piece of clothing, what it tends to do is you're walking, it's, as you're walking, it's and you don't realise until you get home, and that's ruined the recording. Whereas with this, if you've got any sort of lapel, I'm quite lucky in my new coat. There's like a little thing next to the studs that go over it, and I tend to put that piece just inside there, and it magnetically, that magnet is strong enough to hold either side of my coat, and then there's no rub or anything like that on the coat, so you don't pick up anything on there. Also, there's a setting on there. Obviously, it's chargeable, Type-C charging. You need to charge it up when you've finished. If you press that button, the microphone will just record on its own. And that button there, that just marries it up so you lose connection. Or I presume if you get the transmitter and the other microphone, because this one, you can get a microphone, you can get a set of them. So you get two of these and a transmitter. Plug the transmitter then, I think, into maybe the camera. I'm not sure. I haven't got one, so I don't know. You'll have to look into that yourselves. But you can get two of these and this transmitter. Sorry about that. Two of these and the transmitter. And then, therefore, if you're doing interviews, you can use one camera, two transmitters, and do good quality interviews. Where this works, just click on there. Turn on the camera. In a second or two, it'll come up. DJI Osmo Audio Transmitter 2 connected and used for audio input. So obviously it's got 60% battery. Well, I used that the other day for 2.5 hours. And it's only used 40% of the battery. As you can see, with me talking, it's actually picking my voice up. When I first used that, the recording was very quiet, but there is a setting inside the camera where you can turn the audio up to make it suit you. Obviously, there's a thin line between picking everything else up that's around you, your breathing, get the setting just right. It does take a little bit. I've found if you set it up so it's somewhere about there, so it just peaks. If you get too loud, then you're about right, and it comes through pretty well. Although I'm pretty new to walking, still got a bit of bulk on, so you do tend to. It's a thin line. If you get it too far away, they can't hear you. If you get it too near, they can hear you wheezing as you're walking up a hill, shall we say. Now, obviously, that's how that camera puts itself away. Look, I'll just do it. Press that. That turns the camera around so you can talk to it. Press it again. It goes around there. As you can see on there, at the minute it's recording it in 4K 60 frames per second. There are lots and lots of different ways you can record on there. You can turn it down. You can do 1080p, 2.7K, 4K, and then you can change all your frames per second as well on there. 1080p. Here we go. I now use it in 4K 60 frames per second. When I first got it, I did use it in 4K 60 frames per second, and then I had to get a new graphics card because I couldn't render in 4K 60 frames per second. So I got a new graphics card, and now I can do it really clear. So let's move on now to what else it does. It's got panorama, which I've never used, got to be honest. Obviously, you can do stills as well if you want to do thumbnails, clear thumbnails. You can click on there. To be honest, what I tend to do, I've used this a few times to take thumbnails, but what I usually tend to do is I take them out the editing software, out the actual video, and use them that way. Obviously, we've got video mode, which we've just been using. Now it's got low light mode. The maximum you can do low light mode is 4K 30. Obviously, you've got your settings there if you're doing 24, 25, and you can even turn it down to 1080p if that's what you need to do. It's got slow-mo, which I've got to be honest, again, I've never used, and motion lapse, which again I've never used. Really, what I wanted this for was what I'd used the phone for before, which was just literally to walk around and record in 4K 60 frames per second, which is what I tend to do now. I found it really easy. It's pretty light. It's easy to hold, as I've just explained to you with the extended battery. I use that as a handle anyway, so I tend to have that connected up there all the time. And the way it works is, as it's using that, it actually uses the battery. So it'll use this battery first before it gets on to the camera itself. At the end of it all, you just press that, and it puts itself away. If you want to as well, if you put it in that mode, if you were going to be doing YouTube Shorts, if you were recording for TikTok or something like that, and you put it in that mode, that's the way it does that. But in that mode, you can only do it in maximum 3K 60. Obviously, you can do it less than that if you want to, just by doing it in there. There are a lot of creators now. I watch a lot of creators doing this, and there are a lot of them that are using this this particular camera and getting some really good results. As I say, I'm not a filmmaker, I'm just a bit of a vlogger, and I really bought this to just go about, have a walk, lose a bit of weight, and change my lifestyle a bit. If you want to get into the filmmaker side of things, there are a lot of people that will show you a lot better than me. I hope you've enjoyed that. I enjoyed telling you about it. So I say it's gone a little bit different from going on and popping out with I forget the right button. With this, as you can see, walking about like that, nothing wrong with it. If you're in the right area and that's what you want to do, you can connect this up through the Hoa map, and it'll do tracking as you're walking about, do all sorts of things. But so then you've got to get the microphone solution that goes into there, unless you're just going to use the actual phone, which probably won't be as good. Or you can walk around with this. For me personally, this was well worth the investment. click, and you're off. Picks the microphone up, and away you go. When you're done with it, switch it off, and it puts itself away. Anyway, that's it from me. Hope you've enjoyed it. Catch you all soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.